one olive from their first class starter and they saved £5,400,000. The customers were happy and the service was still great.
Excellent. Yvonne.
Yvonne.
Again.
And do all this as well. You want to see? Okay.
I think it was British Airways.
Go.
Again. Can't remember it. I'm so bad at memories.
Keep trying.
They released something. And they saved £5 million and £4,000 and made the clients happy again.
Okay.
Mazen.
Exactly what Yvonne did.
Exactly what she did?
Yes.
She said, I forgot. Okay. So it's about something like factory, they found out something to be removed. This is what I remember. And they saved 5 million or 4, and they make the customer happy.
Okay.
Lynn. This is a terrible thing. So I'll start with exactly what she did.
No, what Mazen did. What Mazen did.
That's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
Okay. So exactly what he did. So the customer made something, and I'm skipping a bit. So 5 million and 4 and made the customer happy. No, it was the factory made something.
Okay.
Alex.
Lordy. Exactly what he did, what she did. That's exactly what I'm doing, what he did. Something about 5 million. Customer happy.
Okay.
Johnny.
I'm just going to start laughing. That's all she did. That's it.
Okay, Liz. You're muted.
You're muted. Yeah.
And I'm just going to start laughing. That's just what she did.
And Poonam.
Poonam, I don't know if Poonam wants to come onto camera.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's not working for me this morning. I'm sorry. That's why it's not on. So.
That's okay. We'll go to Tess.
Tess.
I'm just going to laugh. And yeah.
Okay, so the message, as you know, was British Airways removed one olive from their first class starter. They saved £5,400,000. The customers were happy and the service was not affected. Okay, the reason we start with this was to help you understand, what are you listening to? What are you focusing on? What are you deleting, distorting and generalizing from all the information you're hearing at this point of time? Because as human beings, we are naturally deleting, distorting and generalizing. And one of the first things to stay resourceful is to really figure out, where is the source of what you're hearing? Because there's so much information just now coming out, and there's fake news and there's correct news. There's all sorts of things that we're having to deal with. So one of the first things of this whole webinar that we're doing today is really to help you understand that what you focus on is really important. Okay, so let me just share my screen and go on to here. And it's staying resourceful in difficult times using NLP skills. So as myself, I know a lot of you, some of you I don't know. My name is Fiona Campbell and I'm an NLP trainer. I have been working with neuro-linguistic programming for over 30 years. I've been delivering licensed training since 2005, and I train people to business practitioner, business master practitioner, and NLP business coach. I'm also a corporate trainer. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and an executive coach. So Naima, if you'd like to just introduce yourself.
My name is Naima Sheikh. Amongst other things, I'm a digital strategy consultant, and I work with small businesses, big businesses, and everything in between to put together and run their business systems. I spent many years, about 25 years in the Emirates, the last 10 of which I was executive director of software and application development and IT strategy for those of you who are in Dubai, in places like Dubai Holding and Etisalat, and so on. And today I work out of my studio working with coaches and consultants to help get their businesses online.
Okay, just so that you know, Naima and I have known each other many, many years. We met in Abu Dhabi many years ago when she was a baby. Okay, so Naima, do you just want to take people through the housekeeping of what we're doing?
So many of you have already used Zoom, so I'm sure you're very familiar with many of the controls. The couple of things that I wanted to say is, as you know, please try and stay muted while the presentations are going on so that we have the least amount of noise coming in the background. What you will find when you click on your participants tab, you will be able to see that you have little icons that say yes and no and like or not like. Please feel free to use them. Use the chat as much as you can if you want to ask questions. Fiona and I will be taking questions in between the different topics that we do, but I am going to be keeping track of that. And kick back and enjoy. There's one other thing that I wanted to also mention. This training, Staying Resourceful in Difficult Times Using NLP Skills, is actually an excerpt from a larger program that's going to start on June 1st, which we'll be telling you about as we're moving along, which is all about really staying resourceful and practicing frictionless communications with your coworkers, your clients, your teams, and your community. So who's ready to stay resourceful?
Okay, so let's just go on. We'd like to start that we're all in this together. This is the first time in our history, and probably the history of the world, that we've had a situation. There's been pandemics before, there's been scenarios before, but we've not had this connectivity. We haven't had the technology to be able to stay in touch. So one of the first things is thinking about nothing is normal at the moment according to what our old normal was. So let's use this time to all learn together in ways to help yourself and others stay as resourceful as possible. Now, I want you just to do this. Really take your hands really tightly like a telescope and start looking around your room. Start looking around the room. Okay, so as you're looking around the room, you're looking at different parts of the room to the exclusion of everything else. That doesn't mean the room has gone away. All it means is that you've put your focus on one part. So one of the things, the first things to think about staying resourceful is we all create our own perception of situations based on what we pay attention to. So we have the inside world and the outside world. I make this very, very simple because I like to work in very simple ways. I say the inside world is everything inside your skin. So it's where things like your feelings, your beliefs, your hopes, your dreams, your expectations, your fears, your confidence, your values, experience, disappointments, knowledge, and imagination live. It's where your emotions live. So what happens is we take information through our senses, through our 5 senses. That's the only way we can get information in. And as we've just proved with that exercise we did earlier, we delete, we distort, and we generalize when we're taking information in. So every single human being is creating their own unique perspective of the world. Then we have the outside world. This is where family, friends, colleagues, home, office, car, products, services, results, targets, actions, and stuff live. This is where the situation that the world is finding itself in, it lives in the outside world. And being resourceful and staying resourceful is all about your perception of everything that's going on. Now, I can guarantee that every single person that's here went through shock. I did, I know Naima did. When you first suddenly went, oh, lockdown's really happening, this is really happening, people are dying, this is dangerous. When this all started happening, the first thing that people did was go into shock. You will still know people that are in shock that can't quite handle the scenario. They might be staying in their pajamas. They might be just, oh no, they're not. It's not happening. That is natural and that is normal. But the very fact that you're here today tells me you have moved on what's known as the change curve into acceptance, and you're starting to get energy to look and see how you can deal with what's going on. And this is where resourcefulness comes from. How quickly you get to this stage all depends on how you're perceiving the situation and all the experience and tools and techniques that you've developed for yourself in your inside world. So as I said before, we use our senses to take in information, what we see, what we hear, what we touch. Now in NLP we call this the visual, auditory, the kinesthetic is what we touch on the outside world, and then that translates into feelings in the inside world. Olfactory is what we smell, and gustatory is what we taste. These are also known as our modalities. So senses are known as modalities. So in NLP terms, we talk about the map is not the territory. That's exactly what we did there. So we are creating our own unique perspective of the world, known in NLP as our map of the world. Now here we have 4 maps. These are all maps, but they're all different. So let me just demonstrate something. Just imagine this piece of paper is, I'm just going to say the UK, because I'm actually in the Midlands now. I'm in Warwickshire in the UK. So the UK, to fit onto an A4 piece of paper, the UK is bigger than an A4 piece of paper, so we've got to distort to get onto this piece of paper. And then because we've distorted, because we've made the UK tiny to fit onto here, we've got to take out lots of information. We've got to delete lots of information. And we don't have space to write everything that's happening, all the different places. So what we do is we create a code. And the code is blue is for water. So it can be the sea, it can be lakes, it can be rivers. Green is for nature. It can be forest, it can be a park. It can be countryside. And then you've got lines for roads, lines for railways and things like that. So we do exactly the same in our own inside world to make sense of the world. Now, one of the figures I heard, and I don't know who makes these figures up or who finds these figures, is that we take in, it's estimated 0.5 of a million% of what's available to us. And that has been all calculated to do with computer bits. But if you take this, if we go back to this again, if you imagine, if you just focus on to one tiny bit, there, if we take away the numbers, it's just anything you focus on to the exclusion of everything else, there's an awful lot that you're not actually focusing on. So being resourceful, and especially now, is not saying that coronavirus doesn't exist. It's not saying, oh, all the changes are happening in the world. It's accepting, yeah, that's all happening, but I'm choosing to focus on the things that are making me stay resourceful. We're not.
I just want to say one thing here about on what you focus on, especially these days when you're in the online world, and because we're now perceiving a lot of what's coming to us via a screen, and everyone and his cousin is working really hard to actually capture that attention from you. And by using visuals, they're using the headlines that may be a little bit insane. This is how they are attempting to catch your attention to get them to focus on what they want to focus on. So as Fiona was saying, being hyper aware of the lens and choosing very explicitly what you want to focus on is going to go a pretty long way. Sorry, Fiona.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we all create our own unique perspective. Any given situation with the way we sort and filter information from the outside world through our own experiences, values, etc. We're not going back to work the way we used to work. And I think people are starting to realise that. Take, for example, the social distancing. Social distancing is going to be around until we have a vaccine, until we're absolutely sure we can eradicate the main impact of this virus. Now, how do we social distance in an office lift? 2 people can go into a lift at a time. So when you look at the logistics of people going back to work, there's going to be a very, very scattered way of going back to work, which means lots and lots of the work we're doing is going to be online. And also, your job to help your friends, your family, your colleagues is to get used to this new way of working. Now, my father, who lived to the wonderful ripe age of 96, had a wonderful saying and said that, you know, dear, we can get used to anything except for hanging. So in other words, if you get hung, you're not going to get used to that because it's going to kill you. But human beings can get used to it. You can get used to anything bar hanging. That's how he used to say it. And it's true, because I can almost guarantee that you're all here. You've all shown up here today, which means that you're starting to look at ways to continue doing what you do in the best way possible. So how we create behaviour, we create behaviour by our thoughts. And one of the most exciting days I ever had was I was in Birmingham. I was at a university and I met this professor of neuroscience who was in his 80s. This must have been about 18, 20 years ago. And he actually said to me that neuroscience has proven beyond doubt that human beings create their own perspective of any situation by what thoughts they pay attention to. Now, it's estimated that we have over 50,000 thoughts a day, but you don't pay attention to 50,000 thoughts. The minute you pay attention to thoughts, you create a chemical release in your body that creates a feeling that can either be a resourceful feeling or an unresourceful feeling. If it's resourceful, you will move forward in actions, you will do stuff. If it's unresourceful, you will not do actions. And whether you do something or not will impact the results you get. So it's understanding that all behavior starts with a thought. And the fantastic thing is we can train ourselves to choose what thoughts we're going to focus on to or not. I mentioned earlier about the modality. In fact, let me just demonstrate something. I'll just come off stop share just now. I want you to hold your hands like this. Do this. And I want you to think of something you're really confident about. And pull, pull, pull as hard as you can. Okay? Are you strong? Nod your head if you're strong. Yep, strong. Okay. Now I want you to think of something that you're really either freaking out about or nervous about or not comfortable with, and notice what happens. Okay. Can you feel that? It's almost impossible to hold that. So that is a demonstration of how your physiology will change. Your physiology is actually changing with what thoughts you're doing, and it takes milliseconds for that to happen. So let's just go back onto this screen again. We spoke about modalities, your visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. We split this down in NLP. NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is the methodology of how we create behaviour. We ask, how is someone doing something, not why are they doing something? So visual, auditory, kinesthetic submodalities are how we experience our thoughts through our senses in our inner world. They're the way we see, hear, feel, taste, and smell in our inner world. So this is how we see things in our imagination. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to imagine standing in front of your door. Now, I'm in my office here. I'm in my consulting room in my house, and I'm upstairs. My front door is downstairs. I'm not pointing to the door in my consulting room. I'm actually imagining being in front of my door. So when I imagine my door, I get a picture here. Now the door is grey. There's a door handle in the centre. The key, now look at this, I'm doing that because I moved recently. My old door was there, but this door is here. Okay, I turn the key. So what I want you to do is I want you to actually point to your own picture. Point to your own picture of the door. So what way does your key, my key goes that way and my door comes in that way. My door goes that way. Okay. Now I want you to pan back and start to point to everything you see as you pan back from that picture. So if I pan back, I can see the steps coming down from the door. I can see the two plant pots here, either side. There's gravel. And then if I look round to this side, I can see there's a hedge. Okay, so am I correct in saying that you have a picture, you have a holographic picture? If that's correct, put yes in the chat box. For you, put, and some of you already know this, some already know about sub-modalities, but those of you who this is the first time, this is, it's the what we call the visual hologram, the sub-modality is, it's like a hologram. What we do is we create this hologram for everything we do, okay? So this time, I would like to have a volunteer. I'll come on, I'll stop sharing. So may I have a volunteer, please? And someone who either you can have done this before or this could be the first time for you. I want you to choose a situation that makes you feel anxious. You're not going to talk about the situation and give it a scale from 1 to 10. 10 being absolutely freaked out and 1 being I'm absolutely fine about it. Okay?
Volunteer.
Who would like to come on and do this? Okay, thank you, Alex. Okay, if you just like to unmute, please. So, okay. So what I'd like you to do, point to the picture. Point to where the picture is. That picture of that situation. It'll be somewhere in front of you because you'll be looking at it. So just show us with your hand where your picture is. Okay. Now, what number are you at?
Like a 9.
A 9. Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. Keep looking at the picture. Is it a big picture or small picture?
Can I go with medium?
You can go with whatever you want because it's your picture, okay? Is it color or is it black and white?
It's a color.
Is it still or is it moving?
It's still.
Is it flat or is it 3D?
It's pretty flat.
It's flat, okay. Are you in that picture or are you just looking at it?
I'm looking at it.
Okay, you said it was color, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you just to look at that picture and drain all the color out of it so it becomes white. Okay. Oh, look what's happening. Look what's happening already. Shrink it down, make it really tiny, tiny, and then push it away from you. Push it to the other side of the room. Imagine it going away from you to the other side of the room. Okay, so what number are you now?
4.
Okay, now you've never done this before with me, is that correct? Okay, people say that's not possible. People can't change that quickly. All we have done is we've worked with how you're creating that feeling of anxiety. You're creating it by creating a picture in a certain way, okay? By changing that in any way, you will change the feeling that you get from it and you'll become more resourceful. It's not to say the situation has changed, is that correct? It's just you don't have the same strength of, so you start to become more, and to be resourceful, you have to allow your prefrontal cortex to work. That's where you think. And your prefrontal cortex is shut down the minute you get anxious about things. Okay, thank you very much, Alex. Fabulous. I'd like one more volunteer. Jenny, would you like to volunteer? Because I haven't done this with you before. Okay, that's lovely. I like it. Would you like to volunteer? Thank you very much. Now, again, this is what we do. We're taking you out your comfort zone. And this is the reason we did that exercise at the beginning. To be resourceful, you have to know what makes you, and then when you push through that, you build confidence. So again, Jenny, number from 1 to 10. Choose a situation that makes you nervous, anxious, freaked out, whatever. It can be bigger than 10 if you want. It can be higher than 10.
I am at a 9.
A 9. Okay, point to the picture. Okay, is it a big picture? Is it a small picture?
Does it go up and down? So it fluctuates, yeah.
That's absolutely fine, okay? So is it color, is it black and white? Now remember, nobody's asked you to do this before. Some of the other people that are on this training actually have done this before. And this is why I want to demonstrate this can be done online. People were saying you can't do this online. Yes, I've been doing it the last 3 weeks online with people. So you create this in your own unique way. So it goes up and down, yeah? Yep. Is it big or is it small?
It starts out with big and then just goes a little bit, then goes back big
that's
again.
Fine. Is it color or is it black and white?
It's color.
Is it still or a move? You've already told me it's moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's moving. Okay. Is it flat or is it 3D?
It's flat. Okay.
Are you in that picture or are you just looking at it?
I'm just looking at it.
Okay. The difference is when you're in a picture, you're actually, I was in my picture when I was looking at my door. I couldn't see myself. I could just see out my own eyes looking at my door. If you're looking at it, you're actually seeing yourself in the picture. Is that correct? Are you seeing yourself or are you seeing the picture through your own eyes?
Through my own eyes.
Through your own eyes. Okay, so you're in the picture. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to step out of it.
Okay.
Okay. And now make it still. Shrink it down. Make it tiny, 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 tiny. And just white it out, white it out, white it out, white it out. So it's a tiny, tiny little dot. So what number are you now?
A 4.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So just out of curiosity, take that dot in your hand. Take that dot in your hand, turn it into a little ball. Turn it into a little bouncy ball. And bounce it. What number are you now?
A 2.
Okay, what do you want to do with the ball? Where do you want to send it?
Away from me?
Send it away. Okay, so you still know about that situation, but you don't have the same emotional connection with that situation. So we're going to do this with each other. You're actually going to go into, Naima's going to put you all into your breakout rooms. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Now, what I'd like you to do before you go into the breakout room, let me share my screen again. And you can take, I'd like you to take photographs of this. So you ask the person to give a number between 1 and 10. Because you want to find a before number and an after number, and you're going to we're going to ask everyone to take a note of these numbers. Naima, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
What you will see as Fiona is going through that, there will be a poll that's going to also show up, and I would like you to think of a number before you go out into your breakout rooms and pick out the number that your situation is at.
Okay. And both Alex and Jenny, there's plenty more scenarios. You can pick another one. Just pick another one, okay? So give it, remember that the number is 10 is you're absolutely feeling really anxious, and 1 is really, really comfortable, okay? Fantastic, just put your numbers there. We're looking for things, we're looking up, yeah.
Good.
Over 7, okay. So take a photograph of the screen so that, or one person in each group take a photograph of the screen, and you're pointing to where it is. Now remember, you will see your visual holograms. Because they're visual, you have to be in a place that you can see them. A visual hologram won't be there. Does that make sense? It will be somewhere around, okay? You ask, is it big, small, color, black and white, still moving, flat, 3D, in it, looking at it. Okay, so once you choose that, what you're doing is you're then, let me just go on to this. You'll take turns to identify. We're going to do this for 15 minutes. How are we for time? We can do it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's do that
So
for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, even if it's just a couple of you, even one of you doing this, but it's so you get a chance to do this, especially if you've not done it before. Take turns to identify and change your hologram. So if you're in the picture, ask the person to step out of it. That's important, so you don't start moving it if someone's still in it. If it's big, make it small. 3D, make it flat. Color, change to white. Near, move it away. Okay? And then you will poll what number you are now. Okay, so Naima's going to send you to rooms.
Yeah. So you're all 2 to a room. You normally would be 3 to a room, but because we've got enough, you go to 2 to a room. And when I click the button, you're all going to go into that room, so you can run this exercise with one another, and then we'll pop back in about 9 to 10 minutes. Ready?
Yeah, we'll bring you back.
Yeah.
Or Naima will bring you back. Okay.
Okay, everybody is in their rooms. So we have 4 breakout rooms.
Have we still got Lynn here?
No,
she's gone.
No, Lynn is in room 3. Yeah, so I will end the poll.
So no one can hear us now, is that correct?
I believe so, but this is being recorded, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we pop through? I can pause the recording. Everybody's fantastic.
Okay, so I'm seeing lots of smiling faces. I'm assuming, no, I'm not assuming, because I went into the rooms and Naima went into the rooms. How do you feel now?
There's a quick poll on your screen, so you want to pop in a number.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Really good.
Fantastic. Okay, let me, there's a couple of things I want to tell you about. I was working 2 weeks ago on camera with a group. It was in the Middle East. It was a corporate company, and it's just to let you know that I am teaching these skills to organizations. So you don't have to be doing just an NLP training to work with this. These are skills that you've got now that you can use with other people. And this particular gentleman asked to speak to me at the end of the training, and he said, oh, I'm at 15, and I said, okay, where's the picture? And he started doing this. He said, the office is doing this, the office has just gone past. And I'm watching him, and I'm going, what's happening here? He was so in the picture, something just jumped into my head, and I went, pause, press pause, press pause, press pause. And he went, and he stopped and he went, oh, that's better. And then he said, I didn't know I could do that. Now, I couldn't tell him, I didn't know he could do it either. I had never come across that before. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is we're learning. Even if you've done training with me before, you're still learning. I'm still learning. And I've got one more to share before Naima's going to come. Another thing that I have been doing recently on camera. Now, can you see I am talking to you? And I'm talking to you because I'm looking into the camera. If I look into to everyone's face in the gallery, am I talking to you anymore? No. So what you can do when you're coaching people online, get your client to look into the camera, especially if there's someone, and get them to give a number and then move their submodality. I just tested it with Mazen and he went like that. What number did you go to, Mazen, with me just doing that, with me just moving the submodality? What number were you on before?
Before was like 4 to, yeah, it moves to 2.
It came straight down, and all I did was move the submodality. But remember, you have to get someone to look into the camera, because you're then you can play exactly as if you were doing it in person. Naima's got a brilliant story to share with you.
I do. I had this insane manager. You know, we all got one of those sometimes, you know, the micromanaging psycho. Okay. The thing was, because of the way I interpreted the way he worked with me, I would just go from being this competent, got it together person to this like shriveling mess. And I was using these things and I tried to do the picture and what actually worked for me. And it's insane because I remember it very clearly. I was driving right past, I was on the highway near Mirdif. This is in Dubai. And I pictured him in a balloon. It was like a striped red balloon. Don't ask me what was red and why it was striped. It was a striped red balloon. I pictured him in that balloon. And then I pictured puncturing the balloon. And it just went up into the thing. And I just burst out laughing. I'm like behind the wheel. And it literally stopped all of that anxiety that I had around him, which just goes to show, and this is not something that you do just with, you know, like a supervisor or a manager, but you do exactly the same thing with potential clients. You can do that with team workers or even employees or people who are on your team that somehow can manage to intimidate you, even though they don't really mean to, because they're just like difficult. And if you kind of approach it with this kind of approach, with taking a picture, making it a little bit lighter, using these exact questions to just bring it all down, that puts you in a much more resourceful state. So this piece that we're talking about here is just one of the things that we're talking about today. And I wanted to also mention in the larger program, the 6-week program, we take each one of these, we're just doing the visuals now, we're just doing one little part of it, but we go through in a fair bit of detail on how to handle these different kinds of situations, giving you tools that you can use in person and online to manage these communications, because at the end of the day, it's all about communicating with them and communicating with yourself.
And just to mention that at the moment, we are able now to offer 20% of the NLP business practitioner and business master practitioner online. So this 6-week program we've got coming up, that counts towards coming on to a real life, physical, coming onto a physical training, a classroom training, either for the business practitioner or the business master practitioner. And I will be running both the business practitioner and the business master again in Dubai and in Solihull in the UK. So that's the 2 physical places that I work. And this training works towards that. So those of you who have trained to business practitioner, this would count towards your master practitioner. Okay, so let's do any questions with this before we go on to the next part. Does anyone want to share anything that they got from that?
I would love to hear actually some of your impressions, if we could just have 1 or 2 people comment on how that went for them. One at a time now.
I found it really, I really enjoy it. I do this with my clients all the time anyway, and it's quite nice to do it with Jenny, for her to kind of experience how you can kind of take something that you feel or you have feelings, negative feelings, but and actually how you can kind of manifest the feeling to reduce yourself by just the way you see or view the situation. So I really enjoy doing that.
And that's it. We only just used visual there, which was fantastic. Maybe Alex or Jenny or Lynn, you may not have experienced this before. Do you want to mention anything? Thank you, Lynn.
I haven't experienced this, but being a coach, I've experienced a lot of similar sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually struggled to find something to bring the anxiety up in the first place.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
But so as my experience went, it was a good experience. I definitely was able to bring my numbers down, so it was really good.
And then this is something that you can use, and it works really well on camera when you're working with your clients.
I always work on camera, so yeah.
And it's
all my clients are on camera.
It's so quick. Just so quick, and what I love about cameras, you can get to see, because we also work with eye access cues, where you see where people's eyes move to different directions, whether they're working with visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and you tend to be able to see very clearly or very quickly where they're actually looking, where the picture is they're looking to. Okay, so let me just go in, thank you. Let me just go into this last bit. And that's great, we got different numbers. So controlling your self-talk. Self-talk is how we hear our thoughts. So when you control your self-talk, you actually control how you feel. Now, most people, their self-talk is automatic. And one of the things that I ask every single person I work with to do after they work with me, so I invite you to do this, even if you've done this before, I would like you to do it again. I would invite you to just do that again. Sit down, get your phone, set the alarm for 10 minutes, get some paper and a pen or a pencil. Please do this with actually writing, and write down for 10 minutes your self-talk without stopping. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I don't know what she means, what does she mean by not stopping? And what do you mean? I don't know. I don't even know if I'm talking to myself, blah, blah, blah. That's what you're writing down. So even if you're saying to yourself, what am I supposed to be doing here? I don't know what this is. You start writing that down. The more conscious you become about the self-talk, you're running a soundtrack for everything you do. The more conscious you become about this soundtrack, the easier it is to change. So I will never be able to work from home. If you change this, so what we're doing here is we're asking you to change it to what you want to happen, not what you don't want to happen. If I say to you, don't think of purple rabbits, what's happening? The minute I say, don't think of purple rabbits, because the phrase purple rabbits is in the sentence, your brain has to think about it. So if you're saying to yourself, don't be worried, don't be anxious, don't be whatever you're saying not to be, you'll start thinking about it. So by changing your self-talk, you can change it. I'm finding new ways to be productive working from home. Now, sometimes your self-talk doesn't stop. And I'm going to teach you a couple of ways to do this. One of the ways to do it is, and I would like you to try this, to just play with this with me just now. So start to think of something, run it in your head about something you don't want to be doing. Just run it in your head. And I want you to shout silently and mentally. Please don't shout out loud. Shout silently and mentally. Stop. Focus. Stop. Breathe. Stop. Move. Giving the command stop to the brain literally for about 4 or 5 seconds will stop the thinking process. But you must have something that you can slot in afterwards. It's a pattern interrupt, and you have to have something you can slot in. So my one that I love to do is just breathe. Or if it's really too much, the best way to get out of that is to move. Another thing you can do is you take your tongue and you press your tongue behind your gum and your front tooth, and then just relax your mouth. So again, allow the self-talk to come up, really. And notice what happens when you press your tongue. That instantly stops your self-talk. And what these two techniques do, it gives you the chance to really step back just for a couple of seconds, a few seconds, assess what you're saying to yourself, where you're putting your focus, and change it to something that's going to work better for you. It works straight away, but the more you practice this, the more you become automatic. In fact, in the last business practitioner that I did, I had a couple of people doing master level, and they were able to model what I was doing when I started training, and I do that before I start training, and it was so automatic I didn't even know I was doing it. So you want to develop these habits to keep yourself as resourceful as possible. So this is an activity that you can take away with you. So listen to, take a photograph of this, and I would highly recommend you do this after this training. Give yourself a rating out of 10. Again, 10 being really anxious. It's always good to say to yourself, how am I feeling? And rate yourself. And if you're in a really resourceful state, fantastic, congrats, say, right, okay, I'm resourceful. If you're not, you can ask the question, what has to happen to change this? Write that down. What has to happen to change this? It could be you need to move. And those of you who know about Amy Cuddy, Amy Cuddy really works with moving the physiology to change how you feel, and she's got a fantastic TED Talk on YouTube. When you notice the self-talk, start to become aware of your visual hologram. And again, it's become aware, where is it? Is it big, is small? Am I in it? Is it color, black and white? You can change this. Now you have done this exercise, you can do this for yourself. Change your self-talk. Say what you want to say. And the way I also like to explain this is, if I type into my laptop, I don't want this sentence to appear on my screen. Does that sentence appear on the screen? Of course it does. My laptop doesn't go, she doesn't want that to appear on the screen. We know that our brains are compelled to answer whatever question we ask ourselves. So to remain resourceful, to remain really confident, to remain in a state where you feel really good about yourself, choose the words carefully that you're saying to yourself. Choose what you're actually choosing to focus on. Okay, so we're just about to finish. And before we finish, do we have any questions? Or should I say, who's got the first question?
That's a good rephrase.
Or if we get any questions, can you see that? That's all non-verbal. So who's got a question? Let's get, or some feedback. I would like that if you can put either, if we can share what you've got from this training, or what you want to take from this training, or anything you're not sure about. If you'd like to put in the chat box, maybe what you're taking away. And this is details, we'll send you details of the wait list. It's frictionlesscommunication.com join, and we'll be sending out details. This course is starting on the 1st of June. And it's live. Naima and I are running it live.
It's going to be running live with sessions happening once a week, and then, you know, with the work throughout the thing. But what I'm actually specifically interested in, the thing that you learned to do today, some of you may have already known how to do that. I would love to know how you may apply this to a situation that you have happening in the next 2 days.
I've got a webinar coming up next week, and I think I might use this focusing in the webinar to get everybody interactive, first of all, because once you have, when people are involved in a webinar, they're less likely to turn off first and foremost because it's another person chatting. So I think I'm going to use that about how people's perceptions can change just by how they look at things. So that little thing I'm going to absolutely use.
Okay, that's fabulous. Thank you, Tess. Lynn, you've unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know every time I learn something that I get to use it with my clients when I talk to them. So I'm just assuming it's going to come up. So, that's good. It's always good to have.
Yeah,
it's always good to have new tools or different things, different ways to put things.
Alex says that stepping out of the picture is huge. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
So I was so focused on seeing it and feeling it, more feeling it than seeing it really, that I couldn't really step out of it, even though I just went through the questions just before it was my turn. I couldn't really do that until Fiona said, step out of it, get out of the picture.
And the lovely thing is you will see it in other people. You'll see that in other people. You'll see when people get stuck and you just say, just step away. And what I tend to do, I will do this, Alex, see where I'm sitting, I'll go, just step away from this. And you might even do, just step out in that situation. Now, what you're doing when you say that is you're talking to someone's unconscious, not their conscious mind. Their unconscious mind will do that. Their unconscious mind will move. Now, can I mention, because I came in when you were at that situation and you actually said, I'm trying, and you were like that. Once you stepped out the picture and the picture became small, what happened?
Well, then it was easy to get rid of it.
Okay. And
but while I was in it, I couldn't I couldn't do it. It was all I was trying, but I just wasn't getting anywhere.
And you were stuck. So, and this is the creativity side of NLP. With NLP, we work on curiosity. So we don't prescribe lots of different techniques. It's being curious to find out what you can do. So if you see someone and someone said, oh no, I'm really, and so you'll say, step out of it, make it smaller, move it, and the noises that I make are very, very intentional. These are brain moving noises. And you hear them in if anyone's ever watched Pop Idol or X Factor or any sports event, you will hear shoo, 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 going on all the time to create movement and create excitement. So this is actually called the NLP swish pattern. So that's where we're moving today, but it's incredibly quick. And what all you're doing is because people will say, but does this last? It's up to you whether you want it to last or not. But what we've done is we've actually given your brain choice. That's all we've done. So you can go into the old way of seeing that big picture and step into it, or your brain now has choice that you can step out of it and move it away. And some people will choose to stay in scenarios. They won't change, and that's absolutely okay. But having the choice means you're no longer completely stuck with no choice. So that's all we're doing, is offering choice to the brain. And that's all the NLP techniques do. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Okay.
One quick thing I wanted to add in making this thing, it's not just to reduce your own anxiety. I use this a lot when I'm speaking with a potential client or a client or anyone for whom I need to be doing some work, to reduce the scope of what needs to get done, to just reduce it from having 1,000 things that need to be done, and you have to do this and you have to do that, and that feeling of overwhelm. When you take that picture, you take yourself out of it and you push it away and you make it smaller, and now it's something I can examine, and it's something that I can play with, and it's something that I can address. Really, really useful when you're creating proposals, whether it be for a single client or as an organization. It's a really, really useful tool to have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Naima. So I hope you found that useful. Thank you very much for your time.
Sorry, Fiona, we have one more. Jenny had a comment here about the out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, so out of sight, out of mind, yes. So when we say out of sight, you've got to ask, what were you looking at? It's the visual hologram. Because we can say out of sight, out of mind, but there can be something that actually we're not in front of that we can physically look at. However, we're still looking at it on our visual hologram. So by changing the visual hologram, by moving the visual hologram, in fact, I had an 8-year-old, I worked, because children are brilliant at this. So anyone who can experiment with children is great. So if they're really freaking out, so where's the picture? Step out of it, make it small. This little 8-year-old had something that, and she went like this, and she went, and I said, what did you do? And she went, that's better. I said, what did you do? She said, I put it through the shredder. I said, what shredder? She said, the shredder there. So she created a picture of a shredder and put her picture through the shredder. So love
genius.
Love the creativity with kids. Learn from that and use it, and understand that being resourceful, this situation will pass. Already for a lot of people, they're realizing the benefits of finding new ways to work is actually working for them. So just because you're a little bit ahead of the curve from a lot of people, use your skills and techniques to help other people that are maybe struggling. This is the whole point of this, is we wanted to give you tools that you could take away that you could use to help other people as well as yourself stay resourceful. So do you want to say something before we finish, Naima?
No, that's it. Thank you very much for your time, you guys. I am thrilled that the internet gods held up. My bandwidth didn't. I had 2 calls before this one, and in both of them, I kept getting kicked out of Zoom. So yay! Thank you very much for joining us. This was lovely.
Okay. Take care. Bye, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Liz. Take care.